Good morning everybody and a very warm welcome to Mildenhall and Vollmer, and have I got a layout update for you. It's going to be another big update today because a lot has changed. The layout has moved on leaps and bounds since my previous layout update video, and basically the last video I did was live at Alton Station with the steamer. Previous to that I'd just done the 2K subscriber special, but since that video, which wasn't too long ago, it was probably about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, the layout has moved on, like I said, in leaps and bounds. And this video might be in one part, it might be in two, because there is quite a bit to get through. It kind of depends really. So we'll see how we get on, and let's get on to the layout update. So I'll see you on the other side. So we're going to start in a not so interesting part of the layout, but nonetheless it is worthy of a mention. I've now decided to wrap the fascia board around here and just basically tidy it up for where it really finishes. There's two reasons for this. One is, as I just mentioned, basically just to tidy up the fascia board and wrap it around and make it just generally look nicer. But also, second of all, I was actually having some issues with the weight of the hardboard that was there, because basically it was being held by just this thin strip here, this white strip here. And so what was happening was that this board here was basically coming out this way and wasn't taut up against the layout. So basically the skirting board and the fascia board sort of acts as now like as a slightly higher barrier to stop the backboard from coming away and make sure it's taut up against the layout. So we'll start at this end of the layout and what's been done, and it's obvious to many of you what I've been doing. However, I'll go through it all in any case. What I've been doing as we're at this end of the layout is basically I've now decided, or not decided, but I've now added some additional detailing on the town scene. Primarily the road markings. As you can see, they are hand painted. They're not by Scale Model Scenery or anyone else. They are just generally my observations of what I see on the roads as I'm driving around on my bus, and just generally putting my take on it onto my layout. So I've added the road markings. I've also added some signage here, which will give directions to the drivers. I'll get you off the tripod and take you in for a close look shortly. I've also added some railings. I've had to make some modification onto the two modules, this one and the back one over there, because there was some chafing going on. When I originally measured it, it was fine, but then it turns out that as it got higher, it was starting to encroach onto the track. So some of the coaches were chafing along the sides there. So I just had to trim it back. And as you can probably see, there's a slight gap there where I need to fill in where I've trimmed it back. But nonetheless, it's still exactly the same layout as before. The other main bit on this area, as you can see, I've done the ballasting as far as the station. So all the ballasting and the initial groundwork has been done, and that wraps around, and again that carries on further on to the layout, which I'll then show you as we get a bit closer. So we're now off the tripod and on my hand, so it's not going to be quite as steady as probably it would be on the tripod, but just so you can have a good look. So there's the road markings there. I'm just going to shove the tripod over a bit more. I also managed to find this signage from Scenic, which I've added. The bus station is pretty much got a cabin for the inspector and a couple of buses there ready to go, and then this general traffic. I've also added double yellow lines, the bus stop sign, bus stop bay I should say, some one-way arrows because it is a one-way system through this section because it's so tight, and I've also added some railings which I'm going to be carrying on right down to the end. And that double-decker bus over there kind of acts as a bit of a barrier to try and kind of disguise that kind of corner, really. But I'm going to probably put some foliage or some trees around there, just to sort of blend it in a little bit better. And as you can see, the backboard is actually taut up against the layout. There's no gap, whereas before the board would be leaning back slightly and you'd have these gaps. And there's also a gap between there, which is another module, which is right in the corner there, which is, where's my finger, right there. And I added a bit of Velcro there just to sort of tack that to the backboard, so I can just take it out as and when I need to move the backboard if necessary. I'm also going to be adding some lighting to this board. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, how are you going to do that with the backboard? But it's essentially the same way as what I've done with platform 5. It's going to be a case of poking the lights through. But what I'm going to be doing is I've got some sprues, and I'm going to be making the most of them, and I'm going to be adding them between the buildings here. And they're going to act like, give the impression that they're lampposts. And so even though that the lights are going to be poking through the holes, by adding the sprues down to make them look like lampposts, it just gives that impression from a distance that it is actually street lighting, as opposed to just LED bulbs just poking through a hole. So I'm really pleased with this. So I'm going to be lighting that, and that's really my focus really for a little while now, because I really want to be able to light up the whole layout in a lovely way. I don't want to overdo it, overkill it. So when I do a nighttime running session, it just looks really, really atmospheric and not kind of too kind of like, might as well have the lights on kind of thing. This corner, I haven't really decided what I'm doing with that at the moment, but for now it's just got a base layer. But the ballasting has gone down well. The ballasting is actually N-Gauge Gauge Master. I think it's GM115, I think is the code for it. And I'm really pleased with it. I've never really used it before. I've tended to use Woodland Scenic stuff, but I decided to try the Gauge Master stuff. Moving along, the container terminal has had a whole heap of work done to it. Again, as you can see, I've put the hard standing on. If I just kind of go like that, you can probably see it a bit better. So I've kind of tried to blend that in as best I can. I'm still hoping to put lights into my crane. That's something else that I'd like to do. I've now also moved some of the containers to here, which is what I'd originally intended in any case. So I've been toying around with positioning of containers and things like that. And that's just generally because there's also another reason which I'll show you in shortly. So I've managed to sort of put some hard standing there. I haven't finished this either. It still needs some more work. Also, I've just, like I said, continued with the ballasting along here. This side of the container terminal is still the same, although I have made it bigger. And that is by... basically, what I've done now is move to the other end of the layout. Is the road used to come and curve a bit further in, more like where that pink container terminal. But I've just kind of pushed the barriers out and made it a little bit wider. So it's not that much bigger, but it's just enough. I've also managed to buy this building. This is new. This is from Batman. And originally it looked like this. I'll show you. This is how it came, but obviously the blue doesn't suit. It does come with lighting as well. It's come with this just plug lighting system, as it says on the box. So I gave it a repaint in the Freightliner green. I've also added this signage, which was over the far corner, and there was actually two. There was one over there and there's one over there, but now what I've done is I've just basically put it here and double-sided it on both sides. As you can see, there's one on this side and one on the other side. So when the truckers come in, it doesn't matter which lane they use, whether it's that one or that one, they can still see the notice. So going back to this building briefly, I saw it in my local model shop and it was just what I was after. It's a full relief. I did have one which I scratch built, which was over there, which I absolutely hated. It wasn't anywhere near the quality that I normally scratch build, and I just absolutely hated it. So I binned that, and I saw this and I thought absolutely superb. I believe there is a low relief version of this, but this isn't really what I wanted. I needed a full relief, a full building. So if I'm going to just try and sort of spin you round so you can just see the back of it. So that's kind of the back of the building there. And it's really nicely detailed. And like I said, it does have lighting on it. But what I've done with the lighting is it's got 3 LEDs attached to it. And so if I take it down to the bottom, it's now connected just to one. So that needs to be plugged in. It all works because I've tested it all and I've soldered it all. And you can see where I heat shrinked it up. And basically I've just put all the cables into these two. So when these two are connected up to the rest of the lighting rig, it will work. The building's been tested, and before I even painted it, just to check to make sure it worked, and it was perfectly fine. Like I said, it comes with these plugs, and it's got 3 bulbs in it, or 3 LEDs in it, but they're all individually wired. So you've got 3 separate plugs. So like I said, I took the plugs off, connected them all up once they'd all been tested, and now they've all been wired up, so it's just 2 wires now instead of 6. I've put the Freightliner lorry here because it's usually up against the stop line, but I didn't really want to sort of block the view of the building. I thought the building looked really nice there, and it also reminded me, I think it was of Freightliner Cardiff, a video that I watched, and it's kind of very similar to this. So I really liked that idea of having it there. And I'm just thinking that maybe you could have a small parking area here for the employees, and maybe around this side as well, and then just carry on having the containers down the back there, which I think will look nice. Down at this side, like I said, this is as far as I've got with the scenery. I've got some my homemade fencing, which I did previously for Badillan Gardens, and I saved all of that. So I've now put that up against there. I've put some turf along there. The fencing gets wrapped around here, so it looks like it just carries on around the corner, and that kind of marries into the train care depot. So that hasn't changed. So I need to do a bit of ballast in here just to sort of blend that in with the rest of it. Here I've also done a load of ballasting and turf and greenery all the way along, all the way down. I've got some more, and I've added a hut and some signage there. Also, one of the other things I've done is where it was white before, the fascia board was white before here, I've added the Metcalf basically additional card sheets and stone sheets, I should say, just to kind of take away the white. And I sort of used this technique over at Beringer when the fascia was overhanging. I kind of used the overhang to create a wall type of thing, and I think it looks far nicer than just leaving it as just plain white. So that's what I've done there, which I think looks really effective, and I've done it all the way down to the bottom there. And then that marries up with what I've got going on here. I haven't actually finished this bit either, because I just need to add some butts just to address some of the joins and get rid of some of the joins. As you can see, there's a real big one there, so I'm going to get rid of that by having an overlap. So those are some of the few other bits and pieces which I have to do. So I think I'm going to leave this video here, and because I do have a rolling stock update to give you and some information on the rolling stock that I have and some of the additional things I've been doing to it, but I think that will kind of push the video on a bit. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to leave the video here as it is. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope you've enjoyed the layout update. And until the next time, it's goodbye from Mildenhall and Vollmer. And I'll probably leave you with a few screenshots, a few photos, still shots I should say, of the layout as it currently stands, and hopefully you'll get a better idea, sort of close up, how it actually looks. So until the next time, the next video will be a rolling stock update, And if I get any more work done to the layout, then I might throw in a bit of an additional layout update into that as well. So until the next time, it's bye from me at Mildenhall and Vollmer. So bye for now. Take care. Bye bye.